Let's talk about a problem that cities all over are facing. What happens when you grow way too fast for your own good? We're going to dive into what's happening in New Westminster, British Columbia. The city is booming, but its schools, they are absolutely bursting at the seams. We've managed to get a look at the district's big plan to fix this, so let's break it down.
I want you to just focus on one number to start, 2,241. By 2037, that's how many students won't have a permanent classroom seat in New Westminster. We're talking about enough kids to fill multiple schools with nowhere to go. This single number is the reason everything had to change.
So how did they get here? Well, it's a story of explosive growth. Between 2016 and 2022, the city's population just shot up by more than 20%. And look, that's not a slow trickle of new families. That's a flood. And it's pushed the school system right to the edge. And this isn't some problem for way off in the future. The pressure is on right now. Let's actually take a look at how this crisis is playing out at every single level of the school system. Okay, so it all starts with the youngest kids. Back in 2022, the elementary schools were already short almost 500 seats. And even with a couple of new projects in the pipeline, that number is still expected to climb to over 650. They're already in the red, and the problem is just getting bigger.
Now watch what happens when those kids move on to middle school. The problem doesn't just grow, it multiplies. A shortfall of about 200 seats is projected to explode to nearly 900. That's a fourfold increase. You can literally see this wave of students moving through the system and just crashing into a wall of not enough space.
And here's where the story just gets wild. The city's main high school was completely rebuilt, brand new, in 2021. Get this. By the very next year, it was already over capacity, and by 2037, they're looking at a shortage of more than 700 seats. It's proof that you just can't fix a massive growth problem one building at a time.
So how are they even coping right now? Well, with portables, more than 42 of them actually. These things are basically expensive, temporary band-aids on a very permanent problem, and they're eating up precious playground space that, kids kind of need.
So you might be thinking, well, why not just build some additions or plop down a few more portables? This quote from the district's own report spells it out. Their school properties are already way too small, significantly below provincial standards. In other words, they have physically run out of room. There's nowhere left to build.
So you're facing this huge space shortage, and you've got nowhere left to build. The district knew that these temporary fixes were a total dead end. They needed a new map, a whole new way forward. So they created a formal, data-driven plan to navigate the future.
And that map is called the Long Range Facilities Plan, or LRFP. And this thing isn't just a construction schedule, not at all. It's a full-blown strategy. It digs into all the population and housing data to create a blueprint for the next 15 years. The whole point is to get ahead of the problem for once, not just keep reacting to it. When they were putting this all together, they basically boiled it down to three main choices. Option 1, the status quo. Just keep adding more portables and hope for the best. Option 2, build some new schools but keep the grade structure the way it is. Or Option 3, the big one, build new schools and completely realign the grade structure to be as efficient as possible.
When you put the options side by side like this, the choice becomes crystal clear. The portable path is just a temporary, really expensive fix that doesn't actually solve anything long-term. But the blueprint path, that's a strategic investment in permanent schools that are actually designed to handle the growth that's coming.
So yeah, no surprise here. After all the analysis, the district officially recommended Scenario 3. This is the path they've chosen. So now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what this blueprint for the future actually looks like.
And this plan is so much more than just pouring concrete. It's really a series of smart, interconnected moves that are designed to create space across the entire system.
Okay, check this out, because this is one of the most clever moves in the whole plan. For years, one elementary school was so overcrowded it had to send its grade 5 students to the local middle school. The kids just didn't fit. So, the new blueprint calls for expanding that elementary school so it can finally take those 5th graders back home. With that one simple move, you free up a ton of space at the middle school and you fix the grade alignment at both schools. It's a simple change, but the impact is absolutely huge.
And the scale of construction they need to do is just massive. The blueprint calls for expanding one elementary, building a brand new one, building a new middle school, adding a whole secondary wing to another school, and buying more land for a future school down the road. This is a complete overhaul of the district's entire footprint.
So what's the payoff for all that work?
This number,
3,090. That's how many new, permanent school seats this whole plan creates. Hey, remember that shortfall of over 2,200 we started with? This plan doesn't just solve that problem, it actually prepares the district for the next 15 years of growth.
Of course, having a plan is one thing. Making it actually happen? That's a whole other ballgame. So the final piece to this puzzle is the timeline. How does this blueprint become a reality?
The strategy is all about a phased rollout. First up, that school expansion and grade shift is on the books for 2025. Then, the new elementary school is projected to open in 2027. After that, the new middle school in 2029, and finally, the new secondary wing in 2032. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint, with each project building on the one before it.
So what's the big takeaway here? It really is this fundamental shift in thinking. New Westminster is moving away from spending money on temporary fixes and is finally making a strategic investment in permanent schools, a system that's actually designed to serve students for decades to come.
The plan is ambitious, and it's absolutely necessary. But a blueprint isn't a building. The path forward really depends on getting provincial funding and acquiring land in a city that's already really crowded. The vision is clear, but the race is on to turn these paper plans into real classrooms for kids. Thanks for digging into this with us.